Okay, a couple people have asked me how easy this was or how I went about it. And this is pretty much how to make this, which these are special bottles that I got. You don't need them, but I got them because I like them. And this is a batch of grape wine, which is exactly what I'm gonna go over how I made it. Now, this is, I was testing out some stuff to figure out how to flavor for me. That was the whole goal of this. And I watched all kinds of different videos. So all that's to say, this is not great winemaking process. So in all those videos, inevitably, there was someone that said something like, I highly suggest you do gravities or you do this or that, and it was very specific and it kind of misses the point. So this is fun to do, it's easy to do, anyone can do it, it's very cheap, and it's funny and humorous, and it does work. So this is super cheap. I do have the actual caribou worries and airlocks and stuff like that, but I still like making this, and I'm going to make some more of it because I only did one test run so far. So if you have real critique or suggestions about this process and not making this into real winemaking, go ahead and leave those. Like if I'm doing something wrong or maybe it could be harmful, and please take wrong lightly. This is closet wine. Okay, so there's a few things you're going to do. And first, anything that's going to touch the stuff you want to sanitize. There's special sanitizer they get that's no rinse or whatever. You can use dish soap. Just clean it good. And dish soap by itself does not have antibacterial stuff in it, which means it doesn't kill bacteria. It has to say antibacterial on it. Like the Dawn is green, for instance. It's not your regular run-of-the-mill dish soap. If you get that, you'll be fine. You need a container to offload into. I just opened this and dumped it out. So this is clean inside. This hasn't been opened. It's clean inside. So what you're going to need something to offload into. This is a family-sized Welch's grape. It's 3 quarts. Now when you look at the ingredients for this, you want minimal. So absorbic acid is vitamin C, and then citric acid for tastiness or whatever. But that's it. Just juice and a couple of things. You can see the fruit juices that have a shit ton of stuff added. We don't want that. Here I've got 2.5 cups of sugar. The sugar is intended to feed the yeast. The way this process goes is yeast eats sugar. The exports of that are carbon monoxide or dioxide or gas, and alcohol, which is what we want. Depending on your yeast, it has a lot to do with how much alcohol you're going to get. So when I first made this, and that's what I'm going to do again, I just bought regular instant bread yeast from the store. It's about $5 for a strip of 3. This will get you, it can be as low as 5, and I've heard it as high as 12. So this can, it won't go, and you can leave it all you want. It's not going to get any stronger than that, unless you do something to reactivate them, which is another video. So we've got offload, got our juice, sugar, yeast, raisins. Why do we use raisins? Because I don't want to get the pectic stuff. What is that? That's yeast nutrient. These will act as our yeast nutrient. So we put raisins in anything we add yeast for. It's not necessary. I saw people be successful without it, but I think this will improve quality. You can take, I don't even know if you need half of it. The way this goes is I'm going to dump out some grape juice. I'm going to add the sugar in, so we need to dump out enough liquid to allow the sugar to come in, but also we need some headroom because there's going to be all that gas popping out. It's going to bubble up and foam up a little bit at first. If you don't have any headroom, a lot of times it'll be fun. You can find people on there that just put the cap all the way back on, and it's fun. But sometimes, though, there'll be too much pressure and it'll blow up. So if you'd like to have grape wine that's halfway fermented all over your area, you can take that chance. I'm not gonna, so we're gonna make sure headroom. I went all the way down to this, like a divot here last time, and it was too much. So I'll show you what I mean. So I went like all the way down to here, and I don't think you need that much. I think this time I'm going to try probably about here. And then what will happen is this will bubble up when it's fermenting, and everything will settle down when it's done. And the raisins, I guess it's a coin flip, but whether or not they float or sink. I left mine for 3 weeks. It probably wasn't done fermenting, or it was probably done fermenting way before that, but I didn't know how to check it. So they say when the balloon goes out, that's one indicator, but people say that's not good enough. Other people say when it becomes clear. You can't see through this stuff anyway. So I'm saying like 2 weeks. The real way to do that is to take a measurement. There's like a tube that you pour the liquid in and put a thing in, gets a starting like alcohol potential. So based on the sugar, it might say it has 8% potential. Then as you're fermenting, you can take a sample, and if it's say 7%, you know that there's 1% potential left. So it's not done fermenting, or you could possibly get more out of it. We're not going to do that. The best way to do is like when the balloon's all the way folded over and it's trying to get the carbon back, it'll almost suck it in about like this actually. But all you're looking for is the bubbles to have stopped. In the grape, I didn't see anything on the bottom, so that'll be hard to tell. The raisins didn't stop floating, so you never know. It doesn't hurt anything to pull it out early. It's just not going to be as strong, and it might not taste as good. So let's just get right to it. I spent today $35, and it was $12 for my beer, and the rest was to make this, and I think I've got about 6 gallons worth of materials. I got some champagne yeast and different stuff that I'm going to do with my other batches, but so I've got different stuff to try. If you go and do this, these are 3 and change. You can get 1 whole bag that's like 4 pounds of sugar, 1 strip of these, and a pack of raisins. I say 3 of these. Why do I say 3 of these? Because when you're dumping out the head space, you can end up with 4 jugs, right? If you just have 2, you'll have leftover grape juice. No big deal. I've got 2 of the grapes. I've got a white grape, so I might mix some white grape in with the leftovers just to make another one. I've got some apple. Can't remember if I got peach or not. Yeah, it's going to be fun, so we'll get right into it. And keep the lids, because what I found is if you don't have those bottles already, you're not going to know where to put it. So what you can do is dump 1 out, clean it up real good, and start filling it back up with the stuff. That way you have a place to put it. This is very scientific. I've even already spilled some over the top of the funnel. Alright, that's probably pretty good. Grape juice here. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do, we got this, let's put this out of the way. I'll probably clean this again. Got a lot of projects going on, so there's stuff laying everywhere. Okay, so now we need the food for the sugar. And one thing I'm going to look at when I put the sugar back in, since I've done it once, I'm kind of gauge how much room is left. So I may shake it up and then dump some of the grape juice back out, even though I've already put sugar in it. Not that big of a deal. You might want a second funnel for this. I'm just going to pour slow. Okay, I'm going to take a chance with this one. It's a little fuller than I think we might want it to be, but I don't know. So, if this one blows up, this seems fine to me. I had about twice that much space last time, and I didn't need it at all. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to take about half of these raisins. Was it like 10 or 15 maybe raisins? The important part of the process is you drop one on the table, so that way it works. Okay, so we got sugar in here and we got yeast nutrient in here. So now what we want to do is the sugar's on the bottom, so we just want to shake it. This gets air into the grape juice because it is sealed, but it also mixes the sugar up. If you want to save time on this, you could heat up some water and dissolve it in the water. It doesn't take much time though, and it's not really that important. It's not like if the sugar is not all mixed up, then there's no way the yeast will get to it. That's not how it works. That's kind of closer to the top than I want it to be. Now that we've shook it up, so I'm going to dump just some out. There we go. Doesn't have to be scientific, it's not going to break anything. Okay, so now we've got sugar mixed up in our grape juice, so the yeast has plenty to eat. We've got raisins in there, so there's nutrients for the yeast and it won't die. And it does a much better job. So now we're going to take the bread yeast and we're just going to dump it straight in. There's a cut here line, and I'm going to do just that. There's directions on the yeast itself if you'd like to activate it, and some people do, but I've also noticed that that doesn't work. So I'm just going to dump it in there. I don't want to get it all over everything, the sides and stuff, because it tends to stick. And I've also seen, like, if you want, you can shake it up. And I did that with one of my last ones, but then I also didn't do it with one of the other ones, and they both turned out fine. So you're not going to kill the yeast from shaking it. And it gets a little more air mixed in there. Oxygen is what they're going to feed on. So now we're going to take a balloon. I don't have the little pinprick needle I'm going to use for this, so I will do it in a minute. But you take this, you can get bigger balloons or whatever. You take it and stretch it over the top. Make sure the balloon part's over, because when I first started it was over the side. It has to be able to pump the gas up. Then I just take the pin needle and poke it straight through. You won't see any holes. And this, as it starts fermenting, will bubble up. And that hole is going to let the gas out, but nothing back in. It may, when you're finished, suck down into the bottle. That's fine. I would check on these 2 or 3 times a day for the first couple of days. I've heard people not put a hole in here because the gas will blow up in the balloon, and then just come by 2 or 3 times a day, pop the top off and put it back on. You can totally do that if you want. This is the way I did it last time. I set it next to the bed. I had 3 weeks going and didn't have to worry about anything. And I turned out with like 6 of those bottles, a couple of thermoses full, and then I made a gallon of meat, so I took an old glass bottle of wine, like a whole gallon bottle, and just dumped the meat in there. If you use regular bottles and you want to seal it, what I did with that wine bottle is, you know, if you let it sit, you don't want air to get into it when it's sitting, but as it sets, it gets better. You know, if you open a bottle of wine and leave it sitting, but if you have an unopened bottle of wine, So what I did was cut it off even with the top of that, and then screw the lid down on it, and that acts like a Teflon tape in the threads to make sure no air gets into it. So that's it. Like, we're done. Unless comes in danger of popping out of the top, we mark it on the calendar and leave this dude set wherever you want. It's usually about 75 to 80 inside of my house, and I had it set next to my bed, so that worked just fine. So yeah, wait, and then you can taste it after you're done, and if you don't like it, you have 2 options. If it's too tart or not sweet, you can add more sugar now, or when it's done fermenting and you bottle it, you can add some more sugar or when you rack it, when you pull it out of the fermenting bottle, you can add some more sugar and leave it sit a little bit longer. There's plenty of stuff you can watch, but that's it. Take the bottle, pour some headroom out, add 2.5 cups of sugar, part of a package of raisins, and bread yeast. Put a balloon on top, hook the sticky hole through the top of the balloon, pinhole, like a safety pin, not like cut it with scissors kind of thing. And then just watch it until it stops. It'll bubble around here, the thing will fill up, like it's pretty cool to watch. And then when it's all done, it'll look like this again, flat, and then you might see some raisins up here, but it'll also look like this. There won't be a whole lot of action going on or anything like that. And you can do it with any wine that doesn't, or any fruit juice that doesn't have the preservatives in it. Now, you can also do it with fruit. It takes a lot of fruit, which is cool because you can use the big bags of frozen fruit if you want. You can take those and heat them up and mash them and do the same thing. You don't have to use the pre-done juice. You can also take juice, like I did with the mead, it's just honey is what they put in instead of sugar. And I put a bunch of oranges and cinnamon in there. So you can add more fruit. It's going to add more sugar. It's going to add more flavor. You really just can't mess this up. I saw people do it in like a little water bottle, and they screwed the lid all the way on and everything. Like different amounts of yeast, different approaches on whether you activate the yeast, if you put raisins in it, if you don't. And again, all those wine specialists are going to come. Don't worry about that. Just this is like $6 for a gallon of wine. A gallon. Like I said, I spent $22 today, and I have enough to make probably 6 or 7 gallons of wine. So I'm going to have those in my bedroom, or if I'm going to set up a rack probably on the wall over here, so I can put the finished bottles. But I set up a place to have them setting so I can cycle them out, and then I just have booze all the time. It's kind of fun. So there you go. That's how I made my fruit wine. That's how I'm going to continue to make my fruit wine. When you use the Careboy, it's not much different. It's already a gallon jug. You pour into it, so you don't have to pour anything out. Same thing, you add the sugar, add the raisins. If you want to, you can use the pectin. You can get as special as you want. But then there's an airlock, so you put some water in it, and it's got like a cork with a hole in it, and the airlock goes down in the hole, and the bubbles come up through the water. It's got a little slide in there, and it closes back down, doesn't let anything back in. So you can totally do that. You can mess with different yeasts. They have a difference impact in the alcohol content as well as, I'm told, the flavor. I've only used bread yeast so far. Champagne yeast is coming. I'm going to try different yeasts. I'm buying more of the Careboys, only 1 gallon ones for now. A couple 5-gallon ones probably coming so that I can have just it set up with the airlocks, and hopefully the big ones, the 5-gallon ones, I can make mead and beer in, and then I'll still probably do some of these just because it's so cheap. It turned out so well. Like it really is pretty good. Especially for this was $4, 2 cups of sugar, and then it might be $1.50 when you divide that up for these, and boom. So yeah, $6. So there it is. People have asked. Now you have it. So have fun making your own booze. If you have any tips or tricks you'd like to share with me that's not condescending because you're a great winemaker, that'd be awesome too. If you'd like to talk to me about making wine and you are a great winemaker, that's fine. Reach out to me, but don't make this video about that. And I'd love to get tips and tricks that don't require me involved buying and installing a still and stuff like that. Yeah, that's it. This is what we're doing in Coronageddon or COVID-19 or social distancing. I'm sitting at home. I've got Ewlings. I've got homemade wine. And we know how to cook, so we're not in any trouble. I'm really kicking myself that I didn't start my garden sooner. That's about the only thing I'm missing. So that'll be a project coming up soon. I've got a longbow started. I need to finish so I can tiller on that. So lots of projects going. Hit me up for your projects too. Hopefully you can get a little inebriated on the wine here and do your projects if they're safe. Don't get drunk and hurt yourself. Blame me for it. Yeah, so if you want to, you can get one of those gauges. You take a reading before and after, and then you know how much alcohol content's in it. I have no idea how much alcohol content's in my other batch because I didn't measure it, but it kicks really hard, so I'm guessing it's probably around 10 if I had to guess, but I have no idea what to base it instead of just what people were averaging on their alcohol.
So yeah, give it a shot. Share with me what happens.